What's up, Wraeclast? It's Wabacha here with Hegemony, and we also have Ventor on today. Ventor is going to be talking about whatever he wants to talk about with us, and he is a very well-known crafter in the Path of Exile community. What's up, Ventor?
Hey man, what's going on? Something not much. Just waiting for 2.0 to hit.
Like everyone else, also
Yeah.
Hedgie. If Hedgie would like to say hello too.
Hi, what's up, guys? And Ventor, such a pleasure to have you. I've wanted to ask you so many questions, and I'm excited to talk about crafting with you.
Obviously, with the new crafting tier mods, that has impacted highest level of crafting, and you are directly involved with this, right, Ventor?
I should be.
You should be, yeah. I mean, for the people who don't know, give a kind of description of what you do.
Well, for probably about 3 years, 3 years, I've been just crafting stuff and mostly for my own builds, and I kind of share them with everyone else. Try to keep relatively low fees, so people won't spend like 400 exalts on a single item. So I do what I can.
All right, so I wanted to get your guys' take. I'm going to give my predictions, and I kind of like how GGG has spiced things up. It essentially reset the mirror market because the most sought out for are the highest tiers. All it takes is something to be 1% better until it becomes the new best mirror worthy item, and then the other ones are just like forgotten. But resetting the race, I don't know how long the mirror crafters have been sitting there, not with without much to do, just because everything is best in slot has already been done, or it's not really worth challenging. But now we're in a point of the game where with all these new flat LE mods coming to spells and new damage effectiveness, everybody's gonna rethink the way they make their builds and what's the most optimal stat. But I wanted to get Ventor. I know he's one of many, or he's one of the few top tier mirror worthy crafters. I mean, we have like Axon, Ventor, Keypad, PNR, probably some other guys, maybe King Currency. I don't know if he's a crafter or just a hoarder.
Jin's one of the big ones as well.
Oh, Jin Bin Shin?
I don't know. Jin, and he has a lot of numbers on his name. I'm not sure. We just call him Jin.
Oh, okay.
Jin Low Man.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. Do you guys have some kind of crafter summit where everybody just gets together and be like, yo, the new Mariketh weapons are coming out. You get the dagger, I'll get the claw, I'll get this, or I'll get the two-hander, or is there some kind of negotiation that goes on, or what?
No, but we all have kind of respect for each other, and if we talk, once in a while, and we see what each other are doing, and we don't necessarily cross over the boundaries too often. Of AXN usually makes daggers. I generally don't. Unless I need something special for a build of mine, then I'll go ahead and make it if he doesn't have it. But we generally kind of respect each other's boundaries to some degree. Sometimes it gets a little bit dicey.
Okay, so can you tell us about, where somebody in history, I mean, it doesn't have to be recent. I mean, it could be old, or somebody crossed the line, or there was a miscommunication and, an all-out crafting war came out?
Yeah, actually it did. Between me and AXN quite some time ago, about a year ago, he had just made his Wrathfang, spell attack dagger, and some guy just randomly approached me and was like, hey, I have this 4 tier 1 dagger. Do you want to buy it? I'm like, how much? And he's like, 200 exalts. I'm like, 200 exalts for 4 tier 1 ambusher? I have to get on this. And I bought it. And I ended up sinking like 1,000 exalts into it and making a what at the time would be a perfect for my own cast on crit dagger.
Wait.
And
Rewind. 1,000 Eternal Exalts or 1,000 Exalt equivalent, including the Eternals?
Oh, including it. At the time, Eternals were only like 2.5 Exalts. This was like our golden era of like we craft anything we want, just throw shit in. That was the time to be to craft. But it was about 1,000 Exalts total.
Okay.
I mean, after the forge, so about 1,200 Exalts total into the dagger, and AXN did not like that one bit.
Oh man!
It was just after his, because it was comparable to his, except for instead of multi, it had tier 1 crit chance or spell crit chance. So he didn't like that, and he's like, "Don't release it. I'm gonna buy it, and then you don't do that again." I was like, And he would kind of. It's the first time I've ever seen AXN go off on me. Like he was pretty upset, and so I was like, okay, I'm not gonna cause any sort of like you know nuclear
Drama.
holocaust here.
So wait, he ended up buying the dagger
Yeah,
off you?
he bought it for me for like 6 mirrors. So I was fine with it. Um,
So pretty much crisis averted at that point.
Crisis
So
averted.
did it turn into this like huge war in between you
Yeah,
guys? I mean, it's actually
it
kind of
would have.
it's nice to see that you're saying that you guys all kind of have respect for each other. An outsider looking in, it appears that this would be a really volatile market between you guys, and you would kind of be battling out on who's the top tier crafter. So that's definitely cool to hear that you guys all have respect for each other.
Action came in after Anarchy League, I believe. He approached me and he was like, "Whoa, okay, you're a crafter too." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I am." He's like, "I saw your stuff. Yeah, it's great. I'm a crafter too." I'm like, "Oh, cool." And then from there, we just started crafting stuff, pretty much side by side at that point. And then later on the line, other people started joining in. Um, Keypad and Scalpel.
Yeah.
They came in a bit later, but they make some pretty damn good stuff too.
But from what I understand, you and Accent hold most of the items. I mean, they do have their specialty items like PNR and
Yeah.
keypad, but you guys have the bulk of the market, right?
Yeah, well, I've actually sold a lot of mine because I know I had kind of foresight about what was going to happen, and I started selling off my mirror items relatively cheap. But right now I have a massive bank of exalts and eternals ready to go.
When you say
Um,
you had foresight for what was going to happen, do you mean in reference to new high tier mods coming out with the
yeah,
Awakening?
I could feel that coming with the after the Marikath weapon announcements. I felt it coming. I think I sold actually to Rayman, which I don't think he was too happy about it when he found out.
Oh,
New mods
okay.
coming out.
Wait. So you made this decision. I just want to get the timeline right. You made this decision right after Mariketh weapons were introduced, or before Mariketh weapons?
Um, I decided to sell, oh, bought my rings and stuff like that beforehand. But after that, I just started to sell my high ticket items, which were the ones that were getting mirrored, pretty frequently, but not as frequently as like Loathbane or something like that.
Right.
So I decided, I'll let these go for like four 400 exalts each, and I had made my margin through fees beforehand.
Right. So, I mean, has any of the Mariketh weapons caught your eye? I
Oh
mean,
yeah, oh yeah. A lot of them have. I kind of want to do them all, but I know I can't because the eternal supply in standard right now is really low. So unless that comes out a bit more, or it, I'll probably pick about two or three to do alongside my amulet. Actually have a really good amulet that AXN wants really bad because I actually, you know, legacy multi is something that's been long gone on amulets, but I managed to get a tier 1 legacy multi on eye level 100 onyx amulet, and so it's I believe there's one other one which has a prefix as well, but that's not a good thing when you want to craft a eye level out. You want a blank slate.
And you are obviously talking about Legacy Crit Multiplier, how
Yes.
much did it used to go up to?
70. Mine
70.
is it's on it's tier 1 is 67 to 70, and I have one with 67. Little unfortunate, but it's the only one around.
so
Yeah.
wait, it's a two property 67?
It's a one property. It only has 67. Uh, I have it, but it's crafted right now. But
Mhm.
I can roll it back to its original state. But it's eye level 100, which means that I can roll the new mods on a legacy crit multi amulet,
Right.
which
That's so
will be the
crazy
only
that
one.
you remember that. Like, I mean, I have a lot of, 70 crit multi amulets,
Yeah.
from way back in the day, but, it's just fascinating that you remember the order at which you landed the mods essentially.
Yeah, I actually have a whole page of just imprints.
Do you have like a ledger or something where you
Yeah,
keep track
I
of?
have a general one, yeah, but I don't record everything because I memorize a lot of them. Uh,
Wow, like I honestly thought that it wasn't going to matter with the old stuff because nobody was going to have the imprint of the old legacy. So the mirror worthy amulets are going to be just as good because they introduced that new HP mod that you can get on
Well,
amulets.
the thing is that no one else has one with that's eye level 100. Theirs is mostly eye level not 79 or maybe 80. But the new
Right,
mods require eye level 84 and 83, I believe, which even if they could roll back, they couldn't roll.
right,
So
man.
mine is eye level 100.
So I mean, just throwing this out there, how valuable is that one necklace to you? Like, if you
Uh,
didn't own it and you wanted to purchase it, I mean, what would that be worth to you? That one
well,
property, eye level
easily
one.
over 1,000, easily
Wow,
alone.
that's
Because
awesome.
it's with amulets and rings, you have to worry about other people making comparable rings and stuff. So your fee can't really go that high if other people can craft it. So this is just you're alone in the market. No one else can come in and craft over you. You get it all. You can charge whatever you want,
Wow.
and people have to pay it if they want a legacy crit amulet. So actually, AXN is really interested, but I'm not really sure if I want to sell it yet.
So,
If I can get enough Eternals, I'll keep it. But if not, I'll probably end up just selling it.
all right, well, okay, so this actually kind of brings me to a question that I have.
Hmm.
Will people still, okay, outside of jewelry, obviously, will people still mirror the older items
Absolutely,
like
yeah.
Lothbane or Rathbane? And
Hmm.
do you think that the fee involved with it will just drop drastically, or do you think they will stay the same and the new high tier mirror worthy items will just be that much more?
Well,
Or how are you going to approach it?
Lothbane, for example, that's still going to be tier one until AXN decides he wants to craft another one, which I think he is because he's been trying to sell the original. But there's no incentive for him to do that because he owns the best one. You're not, no one else can afford to craft a better one. Because that's going to be like an 8,000 exalt, maybe 7,000, 8,000 exalt investment. So unless he decides he wants to craft a new one to get a bunch of new mirrors, that's going to be the number one. And it's going to stay that way until he does craft it.
So
So
pretty much moving forward, it's just about everything will pretty much remain the same until the new items are crafted.
basically, well,
And
there's going to be a lot of people who hold out and kind of wait for the better stuff to craft. But a lot of these people think that everything is just going to appear. 606 tier one is going to appear. That's not going to be the case. There might be a few items that pop out quick, but the eternal supply is not where it needs to be to supply all these weapons with all 606 tier one uh, mods. It's not going
Really?
to happen that
I mean,
way.
I kind of predicted the two-handed axe and the sword to be out almost ready to go.
Yeah, they might be depending on how lucky they get, but those are probably gonna be the ones. But for example, like the one or the scepter and the one-handed axe, those will come along later. So if you're waiting for those, I don't recommend just sitting and waiting for those. Just get something comparable.
Oh, wait, so you said one-handed axe. You think that's going to be a very marketable weapon?
It might be. There's a lot of changes that we just don't know what's going to happen. I don't like making full-fledged predictions before I actually see what's going on.
Right,
People kind of make decisions. As someone like me, you can't just sit there and predict what's going to happen. You got to wait, see what people do, then
right,
react, or else
right.
you're going to be broke. Because if you guess what people want and that's not the case, you can pack your bags up and go. Because
There goes that investment.
yeah, there it goes. I've seen a lot of people do that. They think just because it's 606 tier one, people will mirror it. But if it's an item that's not sought after, people won't go for it.
but doesn't that mean
Yeah.
you could just sit on it and wait because
You could,
eventually
and
it's probably going to pay off?
it could, but it still won't be unless it gets some sort of buff. It won't be comparable to something else. So it'll be sought after, but people aren't going to pay a lot for it. Like I have a lot of items like that because I generally don't craft what's popular necessarily. I craft usually what I use in my build, and a lot of times that kind of flows over. Other people see it and they're like, "Wow, that's cool. Can I try it?" I'm like,
So
yeah,
so
sure.
you compromise. You make something that's a little more niche, but at the same time, it works great
Yeah,
for what you're doing right now.
yeah. AXN is the exact opposite. He'll sit there, he'll watch what people like, and he'll sit there and craft like Loathbane, that other dagger, the cast on crit dagger, the glyph mark. He'll craft the popular stuff.
So,
Um,
I mean, going forward, you said you had two or three in mind that you know that were hot tickets. So
mhm.
what's the deal? What's the protocol? Like you're just gonna start rolling something, and then as you get one tier mod, you guys link it to each other and be like, "Look, I'm this much closer to finishing this, so step off." You know, like don't even try.
Well, what I usually do is that I don't waste Eternals rolling low tier stuff or blue and three stat. What I'll do is I'll pretty much wait for someone to try it. They go broke, I wouldn't
Uh,
say
you're picking up the scraps
I
and
do.
you're
It's the economical way of doing it, and they give up, and I'll catch them on the rebound, and I'll buy it for 150 exalts.
there. You guys
Um,
have it. Ventor's the rebound king.
I with almost all my number one hit carry on bite, Corsair, so 6 on 6 tier one. I actually bought that when it was 4 stat, um, from some German guy, and a day later I come out with the Emperor's mod hit, and he's like, God damn,
Yeah,
and I ended up making like 5,000 exalts just on that item.
that'd be so awesome if like some random player in the game found some four property tier one mod and then just had like all you guys in like a party just auctioning it
We
off, you
would
know,
we
like a
could go
summit.
crazy.
That would be so awesome to watch. I would watch that on YouTube for sure.
So
Yeah.
what is the Mariketh weapon right now that you'd say all of you are looking at? Like all the
Uh,
top tier crafters are looking at.
I'd say the two-handed axe and two-handed sword are,
And the
you know,
scepter, right?
scepter with the penetration
Yeah.
one. I'm kind of the only, or Jin kind of goes at the caster stuff. I'm kind of the only guy who makes the caster stuff. Um,
It's rough.
Jin does as well, but it gets mirrored, on occasion, but not like the attack based stuff. Nothing like that.
So
Um,
actually, I have a good question since you said that you're the guy who makes the caster stuff.
yeah.
And I was talking about this with Hedgie a little bit before we got you on this, is that, I feel like caster weapons are actually less affected by this than melee weapons or bows because the top tier prefixes for caster weapons
Hmm.
were plus level gems, mana, spell damage, and hybrid.
Yeah.
But now we have the elemental damage. You know, you can still have the other ones would still be valuable depending on your build, right?
Yeah. The plus one weapons or level gems is really valuable on a caster. I have that on one of my wands. But the flat damage you get from the new mods is going to be kind of insane. So
Yeah, that is
I'm
really high.
interested. Yeah, I'm interested to see the numbers on those when it comes out. Because I can roll back some of mine and add it, so I'll probably end up will doing that.
When you
Um,
mean the numbers, do you mean the actual values of the damage, or do you mean their roll chance?
um, Probably both I'd take into consideration before rolling it. Whether they're super freaking rare or if they're worth actually rolling.
Because I could tell
Uh,
you the damage right now. It's 40 to 69 cold damage per spell. It's 49 to
those are
85.
tier ones.
Those are tier ones,
Those are
yeah.
tier.
Tier one
Oh,
is
okay.
40 to 69 cold damage per spell.
Hmm.
Tier one fire is 49 to 85, and then tier one lightning is 10 to 133.
Okay, those are it's added to spell,
That's
right?
added to spell, yes.
Oh god, then yeah, they're probably worth rolling.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because that seems like a
definitely.
lot.
That is a lot. That's like half a added lightning gem.
Right. And I kind of feel like the cold one is the best one just because of the benefits you get with cold. You
Oh
know,
yeah, chill
the
and stuff.
yeah, with chill and freeze.
Hypothermia.
The
Hmm.
lightning is especially with the uniques coming out like Call of the Brotherhood, doing more cold damage is going to be good. So you could have a
Hmm.
fire spell and if you just have that high tier cold mod on that, you're essentially doing the freeze and shock because you're critting, right? So
Yeah, yeah, those
Okay.
are gonna be pretty powerful. Probably worth rolling.
what are your opinions on somebody maybe like King Currency who just got stashed load of like liquid currency but doesn't really craft too much?
Um, I've seen that guy. I've seen him around. He messages me every time the league ends. Showing me stuff. Uh, to be honest, I don't know where that stuff goes. He gets it all and he brags about it.
Yeah,
I
he
mean, in a
brags.
good. I mean, he's not too arrogant, but it's good to show what you've earned. It's fine, but where does it go?
Yeah. I
That's
mean,
that's my
he's
question.
told me like a couple of times that he has people like working for him, like, kind of like looking out in new markets or markets that he's not really active in. He's got people like filtering stuff to him, so kind of like a more or less a payroll.
Gotta
But
pay those guys.
I mean, he loves like I've lost about four mirrors to King Currency. Like
Really?
a mirror would show up and he would snatch it like five, just a minute
Oh,
or two before me, and he would just link me all the mirrors. I'm just like, grats. Like I spent 2.5 weeks trying to get a mirror for a certain price, and he just kept snatching them off of the trade chats, and
yeah. Some
he's
of
got
these
some kind of
flippers.
system.
Yeah, some of these flippers are. It might not be a system that they're doing. It just might be that they play a lot and they
Yeah,
scan the chats and
yeah, and they have a
Wasn't
lot
you
of
know
friends looking out too.
yeah
wasn't there a website that kind of did that for a little bit?
Yeah,
yeah
PoE
there
trade
was
chat.
Yeah, but it's no longer up, right?
Right.
That
the
sucks.
Sad.
king.
That was an interesting tool.
Yeah.
The king of that was actually back in open beta to release was Gomi. I mean
Oh, I
Gomi.
remember him.
That guy was insane. Like he had like multiple accounts running at the same time, broadcasting all his stuff, buying everything. He actually tried to buy from me like multiple times, and I'd whisper, "Is that you, Gomi?" And he'd go, "Fuck you."
Yeah. That's so awesome.
I see him. I'm like a level one trying to buy this 100 exalt item. Who could that be?
Yeah, I mean, I remember like King Currency. I was like, "Who are your workers?" So I know not to trade with them. He's like, "That's classified." I'm just like, "Wow, he's got it rolling."
Yeah, some guys like I don't know if you know Rayman, or you probably do.
Mhm.
That guy is probably the richest person in the game by by far,
Really?
by far. Yeah.
Oh,
Um,
But
he's
does he
got
craft?
no. He will not. He's a good friend of mine. He won't actually he won't do the crafting because he doesn't like the risk involved. He likes guaranteed profit, and so what he'll do is he'll buy all of his crafts and for pretty cheap price and just offer mirror service for him as a long-term investment.
Okay,
nice.
so all right. So since we have, obviously a top tier crafter on, you know, I want to
Hmm.
ask you a very specific question. How do you guys feel about whenever we have people release like these crafting videos on YouTube's, which I know Hedgie has done himself, but do you watch those? Do you take anything from it or not take anything from it, but how do you guys receive them?
Um, for me, what I like watching them because I like watching what other people like. I like to see what gets them excited about a weapon or an item, and I use that I wouldn't say a calculation of what I make, but I take into consideration. I won't make something that's only for me and that only I will use for my specific build. I'll make sure it's pretty broad and it can get a lot more people involved with it.
Right. Do you see it being a benefit of having more people crafting?
Yeah, yeah. The more people that craft, the better. It's not fun just sitting on top of a million exhaust, just like you know, just
Right, and
getting everything.
almost
It's cool
investment.
having kind of competition, like other people crafting stuff and seeing what they're doing, and
And
it gets what?
I had a quick question. We're talking about emotion. How did you feel when GGG announced that they were going to there was going to be essentially a reset to what you guys were doing for so long?
It didn't affect the people with the mirror items because we kind of control what comes out anyway. So you can either wait for something because people are still mirroring stuff now. You can either wait for the new stuff or you can mirror the stuff now that's out now. But it affected the people who it affected most were the people who would mirror their entire sets. You know, 8 items mirrored. Those are the people it affected most because their gem colors are going to have to change, and they'll have to mirror new stuff, making that a lot of their stuff kind of obsolete because the colors aren't used anymore.
Hmm.
That's the only. Those are the people it affected the most. It didn't really affect the crafters too much because we stopped crafting, a lot of stuff a few months ago in
Yeah.
anticipation of this. So we got most of our returns.
So you guys were essentially, just relieved that it was finally announced and that there was no more
Yeah,
speculation.
yeah,
And I guess you guys are embracing the race reset instead of, I guess, the people that just newly mirrored their items are like, oh crap.
yeah. Basically,
Yeah.
but this is gonna be fun. Because I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a game, and you know, and or you can't really do a bunch with exalts just sitting in your stash tab. So you got to spend them, and these new items will provide us a nice sink.
All right. So with that said, Ventor's gamble.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, are you going to be trying to get a perfect roll on this? Could you afford it?
uh,
Do you
I,
want to say you can afford it?
because there's no market for a perfect one. I mean, sure, it's highly coveted, and yeah, a lot of people are gonna want one. But who's gonna drop, more than 2,000 exalts on a single ring? Like, you can gear out an entire character with, the best items. Why would you want a single ring? Like, it's just, there isn't a market for it, so I'm not really gonna put in an investment toward it. I'll throw probably about 100 divines on it, just for shits. But uh, I'm not gonna go crazy unless crazy on it with divines. I'll let the natural RNG take place.
Okay.
I gotta ask because you are the author of it. Don't you think it's kind of
I'm actually not.
you're not?
That's actually what I was
No.
about to ask.
I thought you had the idea, and I mean,
No.
oh,
I have a friend of mine who's a genius. Like the person who made it. Actually, fun fact is he has a PhD from Oxford University.
oh,
So
nice.
so he's a really smart guy. I mapped with him a lot, and he's a really good friend of mine. And
So it's
he's
actually.
the one who made it.
So was it your supporter unique or his
No,
supporter? It was his
his.
supporter unique. Okay.
Yeah. He had initial design, 3 or 4 designs of different. It was basically the same thing, but with different mods and stuff on it. I'm the one who told him to go with the rarity quantity one because that's just it was just my opinion. It was a better design than the other ones, which were like elemental damage and physical, which were kind of low. I don't think GGG wanted them too high, so I was like, yeah, just go with the magic one. It's excellent for new league people.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. When I saw that thing, and I saw your name on it, I was so confused. I was like, Ventor doesn't do
Yeah, a
MF.
lot of people have been, messaging me, "Hey, I love you." I'm like, "It's not mine."
But it
But
is.
I was
But
like,
it's
that's
not.
not even your style. I mean, you do fast clearing,
Yeah,
efficient builds, and like you don't MF. You don't sit there and go
yeah, I
MF farm
don't.
Dom or anything. I was just like, that's why I had to get clarification. Is this the real Ventor that made this, or like? But I mean, overall, isn't it counterintuitive to what you guys are doing as high level crafters? Because you know that people are going to be blowing divines into this thing, and you guys have to divine your items like thousands of
Yeah,
times sometimes.
yeah.
So I mean, divines going higher doesn't that?
Yeah,
It's
that
like, ah,
actually does. Well,
damn.
I'm not, I'm not really that selfish, like to be like, I want all the divines for myself, so I'm gonna push a item that doesn't require divines. I don't mind, spending a bit more. It's not gonna be too much. I don't think people are gonna go too crazy out about the divines because everyone has done that simulator and knows, it's just impossible.
Yeah, the best I got on that was a 95, and that was after like 10 ten
That's pretty
thousand
good.
chaos or something.
Oh, 10,000 K.
10,000
Good.
chaos. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Have you had any buyer's remorse? Like people who are like, "Hey, would you like to buy this item back from me? I just mirrored it from you."
yeah. Rare occasions, but they'll do something. They'll realize. Actually, the biggest buyer's remorse that I've ever experienced in this game wasn't for my item. It was actually for one of AXN's swords. Galebane, it's called. It's a Resolute Technique jeweled foil, and what a lot of people don't see and before they mirror is that the required dex is like 220 or something like that, and they go to use it and they can't, and they're like, shit, this is 10 DPS or so higher than mine, which requires 100 dex, and they always go, hey, can I trade you for a copy of your carry-on bite? I'm like, nope. You should have thought about that before you mirrored Xn's higher DPS item. I mean, it's a good item, but you have to be sure you can get the dex requirement for it. And a lot of people don't. They just look at the DPS and they say, oh, this one's higher. I'm going to get this one. And then when they go to put on, they're like, shit, that requires too much dex. And they go and try to trade me for mine.
Yeah,
It happens all the time, all the time.
really.
I think once a week I'll get one guy PM me because I don't know if they're newly mirrored or they're just the same ones being passed around, you know. But they always try to trade for mine.
They're like, hey, I changed my mind. Can I trade this in for a
Yeah,
different color?
yeah.
Do you have one with this color? You're like, sorry, I don't even know how you got that weapon in the first place.
Yeah, I don't know you.
Oh man,
I usually, if that sort of shit happens, I usually advise them like, you can put this shit in there and it'll work, stuff like that, or give them ideas with builds. I've had a lot of people copy my arc build, my crit arc, and they're really happy with it. But never had someone begging me for a return or something like that. That's never happened.
so I mean, being as a permanently crafter, do you ever have people that constantly, or are you constantly checking out the newer markets in case, someone lands a 4T1, you want to save it,
Oh
have that
yeah,
person save it until the league's end, and then craft it up, or has that
yeah.
happened?
I've had that happen a few times, and usually they actually come to me by default. Like when the league ends, I get people who message me some really good shit, and I usually buy it.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
But
So
you
pays
and
to
you
have
only,
friends.
and you only do this on standard though.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I would, but I had a really bad experience when I first started Anarchy, the first new league. Like, I was like, I reset my entire. I wouldn't say reset my entire characters. I went and level one and started leveling, got to like level 70, and exalts were 120 regrets to the exalt, and I was like, nah, I'm good. I kind of just go back to standard. I'm like, if I wanted these ratios, I would have stayed in standard. But I guess from what I heard, I mean, it's gotten better. That's why I'll be playing the new leagues as well. This in 2.1 lands.
What are some of the recent changes that are going to be impacting top tier crafters the most negatively? Because obviously, we thought that some of these things were going to be already affecting you negatively, and you're saying, well, no, we have control
Yeah.
anyway, or this item's still the best until we craft the next one, or et cetera, et cetera. So, what are some of the things that are going to affect you guys the most negatively?
Probably the biggest negative um, influence with the patch is basically everyone's expectations. Everyone expects the crafters to spend whatever on Eternals, and so what everyone's doing is everyone's just hoarding their Eternals, thinking, "Oh, these crafters are going to pay 20 exalts an Eternal or something like that." And we can't make shit if we don't have the Eternals to make it. So if everyone's hoarding them, they can kind of just AXN especially does not cave into that stuff. He'll say, "All right, I'll wait." you know, we'll wait for the eternal prices to go down. I personally don't pay over 5.5 exalts per, and I still don't even know if I'll craft at that.
So
Because
accent holds his ground, huh?
yeah, it's holding our ground while everyone's like freaking out. Oh, the crafters are all gonna need all the eternals, so if we get them all, we can fuck them.
Oh man, that's so good.
But then,
What do
really,
you,
in the long run, it's just stopping
Yeah,
those top tier
it's a
items.
waiting.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
yeah, I mean, we've seen newly crafters. I mean, I think Lightwoods is worth a mention. He made a really close top tier bow, but once the league starts to get to that stale point, and people are like, well, I'll just save my mirror
Yeah.
for standard, and this bow it's good, but it's not anything worth
Yeah,
it.
I remember that bow. I remember him selling that
Yeah,
bow.
he mirrored it a lot of times, but it only has a very short shelf life until it's forgotten.
Yeah, well, that's kind of thing with the new leagues is that once a certain amount of time goes by, everyone's mindset goes from I want to get the best in this league that maybe I'll just hold out and kind of save for the and I'll get some good shit in standard for uh, a lot cheaper. I wouldn't say a lot cheaper. It's the value of the items is going to be worth more than the currency is there.
Yeah, I mean, I just, the reason I love this game so much is that, there's so many different ways to play it, whether you're a flipper, a
Yeah,
crafter, or, you enjoy temp leagues or new leagues. There's something for everybody. And I'm really surprised that, you guys are all, I mean, can you speak for most of them that you're all embracing the change and the reset and the rush to, make these awesome items while at the same time watching for, what's going to be the new meta and the most popular thing?
well, I'm not necessarily sure that all the crafters are embracing it because I haven't asked them too specifically.
Oh, okay.
I know a few are kind of upset, but eventually they'll come around and they'll start crafting. I don't think it's gonna be a I quit stage. I don't think that's gonna happen. I
Yeah,
think generally,
it just kind of seems like if you invest so much in a game like Path of Exile, you have to understand that as it gets older, there's going to be new things.
yeah,
Like you can't expect you to craft something, you know, in Nemesis and that to be the best item all the way until
yeah,
five, 3 or 4 challenge leagues from now. You kind of and you want that progression, right? Otherwise, it gets dull.
it does get dull.
People,
It's sitting
get
around.
bored of it. They no longer want to play the game because it's just boring overall. So it's good to have this, gradual. And this is something that's come across in other games too. And I think we're going to start seeing it more in Path of Exile, and more people bring it up. But power creep is inevitable.
Hmm.
Just the gradual increase of power for players or for weapons, damage, et cetera, et cetera. It's inevitable, and it's necessary to keep the game alive. Really.
Yeah, because no one wants to achieve level 100 and get a bunch of gear and then just be the best forever. It's the thrill of the hunt is like is something that just this game is about. Like, you get the best stuff, but slowly but steadily, your stuff becomes less powerful, and you have to go and seek out the more powerful stuff, and that's just the game.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's good. They're keeping it alive for you, at least at the
Yeah.
very minimum.
Yeah, to be honest, I was starting to get kind of bored. I was just sitting on all these items. There's running out of stuff to craft, and I was just kind of just sitting here. Well, I got a level 100. I've got, a mountain of mirrorable items. What next?
Yeah.
And with the news of these new items, new bases, new mods, that's just a brand new game for me.
So I mean, I'm sure we have a lot of listeners out there wondering what is the best tip that you can give somebody if they're like struggling to make currency, and like what would you suggest? How do they, how do they become financially successful in Path of Exile?
Well, just like in real life, nothing will come easy unless you hit the lottery with a regal or something like that. You get like emperors on a regal or something like that, which is not in reality. It's not going to happen. So you have to find out what are ways that you can generate currency, and one of those ways would be flipping a market. That's how you generate your base. And if you want to go in on an item and try to craft something that that's a risk, and it's that's part of the game. If you win or lose, I, it's just part of the game. It happened to me. Like I didn't all of a sudden you know become a rich person with unlimited exalts. I worked my way up, and as I got more, it kind of acted like a snowball effect. As I got richer, I could invest bigger and get bigger rewards, and it's
Just like real life, an
just
entrepreneur.
yeah, it's
Take big risks, big reward.
that's basically what it is. Just don't be a lot of people are afraid to take risks. They just want the sure thing. And if you go through like that, you'll never actually get, or you'll eventually get, become rich, but like if you do it a lot, but you're not gonna be with the big dogs if you if you do it that way.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you're not gonna ever catch up to them because you're not taking risks and they are.
It's funny
Right.
you say that, one of the ways to do it is through flipping, because flipping is something that's kind of like really frowned upon, which I don't
Yeah.
really understand, because with the barter system that we have, which I've said this before, but I like our trading system. I think there could be some improvements on it. But flipping, I don't really think there's so much wrong with flipping as people say, because if flipping doesn't necessarily mean that it doesn't always mean you buy an item at 1 exalt and you sell it for 10. It could mean that you buy something early in a league when it's valued less,
Hmm.
and as its value increases, you don't need it anymore, so you end up selling it, and that is essentially flipping. Because I know that I've done that.
Yeah.
Where at the start of a league, I bought I think in the flashback league recently, I bought Malagaros for 8 chaos, and they're a perfect multi-roll. And at the end of the event, I didn't need them anymore, and I went to sell them, and I sold them for 2 exalts.
Yeah.
To someone who wanted that perfect crit multi.
That's the thing is that a lot of people, the people who view flippers as bad people, need to kind of step back and realize what they're actually doing. Flippers, they're actually they're paying I wouldn't say paying a service. I would say offering a service for people who want their stuff now. They don't want to wait. They want their stuff now, or they want to sell their stuff now. And these flippers they spend all day sitting there, and they'll buy for 5 exalts. That's something that's worth 7. But
Right.
you don't have to sit in trade chat spamming, looking for that buyer who's willing to pay 7, which may or may not come. You get your quick exalts, you get in there, and you get to go, farm Dominus or, level a character. You get your stuff now. That's actually a really good thing to have in an economy, because the exalts are constantly flowing around, which is, an attribute of a healthy economy is exalts which are spent, not exalts which are hoarded. So I think there's nothing too wrong with it. There are some flippers that will actually put up fake items and with fake buyouts. Those are the
Right.
scumbags,
Right.
like. But most flippers don't actually do that. They just they're taking you know opportunities and making profit from it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right with you. I mean, it's all too often. I mean, flipping could be just buying something that someone's underselling because they don't know what it's worth.
Hmm.
And honestly, it's their own fault if they don't know what it's worth. And
Yeah,
you're not,
information is valuable, and
yeah,
if you have information and they don't, I mean, you'll
information
learn
is
for that.
underrated.
Yeah, you'll learn from that experience. Like I've sold shit which was underpriced, and whoops, oh well, the world goes on. You learn from it, and then you keep going.
Yeah.
If you can't just victimize yourself and say, oh, these flippers are raping us.
I know, yeah. There's too much negative connotation.
Yeah,
And yeah,
it is. I don't think it's a problem.
yeah, I'm right with you. I mean, granted, we're talking, with a person that represents less than, a small fraction of the community, but it's still so interesting to hear your side of
Hmm.
everything. And I mean, like you said, with paying attention to trends, staying in tune with the game, watching stuff flow
Yeah.
and actually logging in every day and making an effort hour upon hour. I mean, you don't just get rich by not logging into the game, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
it's that's not how. I mean, once you get up to the kind of mirrors, you can kind of do that, but your stuff really won't get mirrored if you're not online.
right.
Like people don't see it, and
People just
um,
expect to get rich while they just,
yeah,
log into Sarn. Oh, why aren't I rich yet?
yeah, like they farm Sarn or they do some generic uh currency generating thing, and then
Mhm.
they kind of look back like, why am I not rich as this guy?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
But yeah, I mean, there are many ways to earn currency, and this
and
is just one of
yeah,
them. I mean, Ventor shared, his stories, and I mean, essentially how he built up his empire over a long period of time, over a lot of hard work. Cutting his losses here, making good, smart decisions. Moving forward, taking risks. All these things have contributed to his success, and
Having
it's the
friends that
reason.
went to Oxford.
yeah,
Right,
like
right.
yeah, I'm waiting for him to come out and say that he made it or do some AMA about it, but I think he's busy. He
Don't
hasn't been
worry.
online.
With this, people are going to find out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully we bring it. I mean, yeah, like I said, when I saw it, I was like, that doesn't look like a Ventor ring. I mean, I know that
That's
guy's
not a
rich and
Ventor.
all, so I can understand the gold ring part, but the mods on it, I'm not so sure. His builds are really high clear speed and efficient.
If I made it, I would have something like increased probability of
Multiplier.
rolling tier 1 mods.
Yeah.
When warned. That'd be
So
pretty.
what so with that, obviously outside of just being a crafter, you do play the game. Clearly,
Yeah,
you have a
yeah,
crit
yeah.
art build, and you said a lot of people copied it. Was this the crit art build that got really popular in the?
I did crit art before it was on the map. I'll tell you that right now. I did that a long time ago, and I used to play in the Reddit channel a lot, and a lot of people asked me questions about it, and eventually I think it got adapted to a life-based build, and then it just became a pretty popular build. But I was doing crit, like while everyone was doing that one non-crit build. I forgot who the name of the person who did it.
Fox
But
Tactics.
yeah, Fox Tactics. Everyone was doing Fox Tactics. I was like, nah, I'm doing crit. And then I did my crit build, and then slowly kind of shifted away from that into crit. I wouldn't say I invented it or anything. It was just something I was doing that kind of just caught on,
Yeah.
and people kind of realized, oh shit.
Are you
crit's
going to be
pretty good.
doing? Are you going to be doing Arc again in the upcoming leagues, or
I
what's
want
some
to
of the?
do. Yeah, I'm not sure actually. I have no idea right now. I'm actually just gonna dive into the 2.0 and just see where it takes me. I'm not gonna plan or anything.
This is world first. Nobody's ever interviewed. This is what I've been wanting to do for so long. Interview the man behind the Exalts and the
Man
Eternals.
behind the exalts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man behind the exalts. That's funny.
These guys make me look like chump change.
Man, and I look like chump change to you. That's the thing. I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna play. Man, I got 10 exalts. I'm balling. And how many stash tabs of
Me?
exalts do you have? Yeah.
Of pure exalts, I have about 7 right now.
Wow.
But I keep a lot of my actually wealth, or my wealth in demigod amulets.
Oh wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really small. That's a one slaughter.
Yeah.
Super efficient.
I split up. I have two accounts with majority of my wealth on. My main account has a lot of it, most of my mirror items and stuff. But I have another account which I kind of stash away in case anything ever happened to this account. So I would always be in the game.
I think it's important just to set realistic goals for yourself, and with how much time that you have to invest and how much you can pay attention to the game and all those mods and the meta shifts. Make realistic goals, hit your goals, and then just improve from what you have. And I mean, if you want, you can build an empire slowly but surely. And
Yeah.
if one of these guys quits, then what's going to happen? Who knows?
Yeah.
There's a spot open.
Yeah.
So Ventor, I want to thank you so much for coming out. It's been a pleasure. Like I said, we don't ever get to hear from the top tier crafter, but now we finally have. So, hearing all your stories, it's been great. And yeah, I mean, just
No
thank
problem,
you.
man. Anytime.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it too, and it's also nice to hear that you are well spoken, and that
Yeah.
I won't have to. It's just like, oh, let's bring on this guy. Oh, great, he doesn't sound like a moron. Perfect.
I thought he was European, European or like Canadian, but I found
From
out
the
he's from,
USA, man.
yeah, great state of USA or great country.
Wow, I'm gonna leave that in.
Wow.
All right, cool. Well, thank you very much, Ventor.
All right.
And
No problem.
yeah, we'll
All right,
catch
see
you
guys
later. So, Hegemony and I have a question for all our viewers out there. Which Mariketh weapons do you guys want to see crafted for any 2.0 builds coming up for the Awakening? Again, that was Ventor. In the description below will be a link to his crafting services and his mirror shop on the forums. Go check that out. Hedgie, is there anything you want to say before the end of the podcast?
No, as always, I'm a resource available. You can find me on Twitch TV/Hegemony TV, or you can find me on Hegemony PoE on YouTube. And I have a ton of guys there, a lot of beta content, and going forward, there's going to be tons and tons of builds and funny videos.
Thank you guys very much for joining us on What's Up Wraeclast, and we'll see you guys next time. Hey, thank you very much for watching that video or listening, whatever it was.
If you enjoyed it, please click that subscribe button, and also feel free to check out the other links that I have provided in the annotations that you see on your screen right now. I also did set up a Patreon account, so if you would like to support me in my content creation endeavors, go check that out. Thank you very much, and I'll see you guys later.